There were so many occasions when I was like, I'm done. I don't think I can do this anymore. My goal was I want to work at Wimbledon as a physio. And also I had two young girls as a role model. Why would I quit? How am I ever going to be who I want to be if I don't just take that leap of faith? And I wanted to create my own journey. I wanted to create my own destiny. And I felt that I couldn't do that within those confines.
Courage is not the absence of fear. It's having that fear and acting despite your fears.
They've kept going. And against the odds, you just have to find that fight within you because it will create a stronger version of you.
And I remember one day asking myself, why the hell are you so invested in it? People will ask me, but then one day I really said, why are you so invested in this? That day I was driving to work and I was like, this is why. Hi, I'm Chinwe. This is a podcast where we dive into the inspiring journeys of ordinary women who dare to break free from traditional career norms, defying social expectations to follow their passions towards a meaningful purpose. This is Beyond 9 to 5. Right, so we have got to the last episode of our first season on Beyond 9 to 5.
How did we do that?
I don't know, Lou. You literally have been the wind beneath my wings for this. I want to thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I mean, guys, I invited this woman to co-host my first ever venture as a podcaster. And I did that for a reason. Lou is just... you're already familiar with her voice on the podcast and her contributions throughout the season. But today, I wanted to dedicate this episode to her. I wanted us to explore Lou's story. Right? You ready?
No, not really. Warts and all.
I know, because she is the owner and director of Holcombe Clinic, which is based in Rochester in Kent. And this clinic is the happiness hub, basically. It is where everyone or anyone can come along and access various health solutions, isn't it? Mm-hmm. From baby massage classes to menopause coaching to physiotherapy sessions. Whatever you need, Lou is literally building this center for people to come and be happy and to find a true and empowered path towards their health and wellness journeys.
Absolutely,
isn't it?
Kind of a one-stop shop, I hope, for health and happiness.
Yes.
So people can come for whatever they need.
Yeah. It goes without saying that obviously we're going to go into a lot more about you and draw some of your inspirational stories and background to the forefront today, because I think our listeners and viewers would really benefit from having, just like I have, getting to know you. You guys will probably be interested to know that she is a highly experienced chartered physiotherapist and a wonderful, actually, physiotherapist to the stars. I keep saying that because she's my claim to fame, you see. and just a wonderful human being who is passionate about helping other people. And through this clinic and center that you have built, I just think that's amazing. So can we...
Here we go.
Have a chat now, Lou.
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
Absolutely.
Right. I want to ask you when was the first building block laid down?
Okay. For me personally or for Holcombe?
For you personally, let's start with you because
me.
Holcombe is part of what you've created. But let's start with you, right?
Okay.
In fact, let me kind of pedal back even more, right? Let's go back to Lou, the physiotherapy trainee.
Okay.
Training.
Okay. So way back when my girls were little, I had a very good friend who was a physiotherapist at Wimbledon. And I always had a desire to do what she did. So I started out on that journey doing sports therapy, did a diploma in local college, loved it. I then went to Gillingham Football Club and did a little mini course on first aid and sports management, sports injuries management, and I fell in love with it even more. So I'd say to my very good friend who'd been an experienced physio at Wimbledon for a long time, obviously quite naively, like, how do I do that? So she said, you have to get chartered, Lou. You have to get chartered.
Yeah.
I had 2 young girls then. So that dream seemed a long way away, to do a degree, a 4-year degree in London.
How old were your girls then?
They would be, well, I was 39 and my girls would be, what would that be? Oh, my maths is dreadful. They were young.
They're young, yeah. I was just going to say under
they were
10
12 and 16.
Okay.
So they were teenagers.
Yes.
They needed support. They
needed
weren't
you.
diddy. But prior to that, they'd obviously been young, and I'd been, I had worked, but was a mum that liked to be hands-on. So I liked to be there for holidays, etc. And to think about doing a degree later on in life with 2 girls at that age seemed quite a big ask. Anyway, eventually I was working at a college. I was also working for Gillingham Football Club. And my circumstances changed, the job situation changed. And suddenly in September, I was asked, okay, you know, this job is different now. What do you want to do? I decided, okay, I'm going to retrain. Yeah. So I rang up Brunel University and spoke to the physiotherapy department, and I just said to the man there, I really want to do the degree. And he was like, okay, it starts in 2 weeks. So I told him what I was doing. I told him what I had already had, a qualification through football, a physiotherapy qualification through football. So I told him where I was, and I was obviously a mature student. And he said, okay, see you in 2 weeks. So suddenly I'm like, oh my word.
I'm going back to school.
I'm going back to school. I'm going to do a degree. I'd got A-levels, but I'd never gone down the degree path. I'd got 2 children. I was still working. So it was quite a big ask. So I did my degree. So many times. It was 4 years. It was part-time. But when you do physiotherapy, you do a lot of placements. So it's full-time. Yeah. I'm still working. I'm still being very active. I played hockey. I did running. I'm still juggling 2 girls. The house situation changed. My family situation changed. And I became a single parent as well as 2 girls, and doing a degree and doing placements and everything else that goes with it, and still wanted to keep fit and be a bit of active. Me. Yes. Wow. So there were so many occasions when I was like, I'm done. I don't think I can do this anymore. I was driving round the M25 at 5:30 in the morning to get to university for 7:30 before the traffic was really bad. Coming home at 5, again, had homework to do, etc., etc. So it was a big ask. So those 4 years were really tough. And the day I graduated was the most emotional day, because I never thought I'd see it.
Finished it all.
Exactly. So, but I always had this dream that I would be a physio at Wimbledon at some stage.
What kept you going? Because I know there'll be a lot of people listening and watching who will be thinking, right? Yes, we all say like, oh, I wish I could, but there would have been moments in the middle of the night or maybe on your drive from London, thinking, I'm not going back tomorrow. What made you wake up in the morning and go back?
Okay, my drive was, probably after a year, how can I quit now? I will have wasted a year. Yeah. So I kept going because I didn't want to waste. So when I got to the end of year 2, how can I quit now? I've wasted 2 years. Yes. So each time, no and now it's like, I've got a year to go. You can do this.
You can do this.
So it got to that turning point where I just wasn't prepared. I'm not really a quitter. I'm not afraid of hard work. So, and I knew that I had a goal as well. My goal was I want to work at Wimbledon as a physio. So, and also I had 2 young girls that, you know, why would I quit as a role model? Why would I quit? And they saw that.
I know, right? Because we were saying it the other day, how our kids, our children, you know, especially our girls, they have a ringside seat to our lives. I say ringside as if it's a like a wrestling match, but you know what I mean. It is do you know what? It does get pretty messy, doesn't it?
Exactly. There are cuts and bruises along the way.
But they're watching, even though, and they're very close to the process. They are very close to our emotions. And even when we come home and we want to put on a brave face, and they know what's going on. So I think it's impressive that even then you would instinctively want to continue because you knew you had to be a good role model for your kids.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, as we've talked about before, getting a good grade is not the be all and end all, but it gives you a goal.
Yeah.
It gives you something to strive towards. And I wanted the best degree I could get.
Yeah.
I worked really hard. I wanted that end goal. I wanted to be successful in whatever field. And success comes in so many different forms, doesn't it? This was a success in terms of physio.
Yeah.
But also an success in terms of, you know, I'm now a single mum and I need to, you know, work hard to show my girls that actually the work you put in will be something worthwhile at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So all of that drove me, that desire to just get to the end.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I got to the end, I was still working as doing sports massage, and I had my own little practice there, and so I was doing that part-time. I then got a job within the NHS. My last placement gave me a job, so I was working at Queen Mary's up in London.
Yeah. How long were you there for?
A year and a half.
Okay, that's
a very short time.
That's not very long.
Not very long at all.
How come? What happened?
I found within the NHS, my hands were very much tied, and I knew that I wanted to be stepping out of the box. Yeah. So the entrepreneurship in me was there. I'd already run classes, so I kind of knew that I could work for myself.
Yeah.
And I was already doing that. So at the time, I was working full-time NHS, then coming home, still 2 girls to look after, still all their emotional needs, physical needs, etc., to look after. Then I was running sports massage in the evenings, so I was working in the evenings as and when, and also trying to look after myself. So still, you know, doing all your activity that gives you your self-care. Yeah. So it was a very busy time then.
How did you shift from wanting to have the stable paying job within the NHS to taking the leap and the risk, to be honest?
Absolutely.
You know, to move on to work for yourself, especially when you had your 2 girls to think about, isn't it? Most people would stay put and not want to, so, you know,
take the risk.
Take the risk,
yes. So for me, I'm a big believer in the universe, and the universe will deliver. And I'm also a believer that unless you make way for that new thing to happen, it's not going to happen. So although I already had the business and I was working full time, I knew that I had to actually drop the full time to allow for the rest of it to grow. So for me, it was, okay, you just have to jump ship. And when I told my colleagues within the NHS that I was leaving, they were like, but you've only just started. And I went, I know, but you don't know enough. And I went, I know.
Exactly.
But actually, how am I ever going to be who I want to be if I don't just take that leap of faith?
Yeah. When you are in an organization, you know, like the NHS or any other setting, and people tell you, well, you can't leave because you don't know enough. That is based on the premise that everything you need to know is in that place, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's not correct, is it? You know, because there are so many other options, and that's one thing where people get sucked in with this almost, you lose confidence that based on the fact that you think that there is nothing else out there other than what you're being given in wherever it is you're currently working, you know,
Absolutely.
9 to 5.
And like we talked before, it's that belief system, isn't it? Yeah. They feed you that belief system that this is it. This
is it, yeah.
And, you know, there isn't anything else. And why on earth would you go anywhere else? Because you're safe here. We're looking after you. We're paying you. We're giving you your future. You've got a pension. But that desire to be my own person and to treat clients the way I wanted them to be treated. So, you know, you've worked in the NHS. Your hands are very tied.
I know.
You know,
it's process driven. And
And the people that come to see you, by the time they get to see you, they absolutely need to see you. They're beyond almost repair.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that. I wanted to see them at the beginning so I could make a big difference at the beginning, and also see them through to the end. With the NHS, you go halfway and they go, oh, we're done now.
We're done. Yeah, that's your 6 sessions of physio.
Yes.
I know that sometimes I refer patients for physios, different kinds of therapies, and there's almost prescriptive, so to speak. They say, 6 sessions, 8 sessions there, and then we'll review. But you're kind of looking at it thinking, well, maybe this person will need 2 sessions, or maybe they'll need 12 sessions. So what happens, in your experience, what happens when they get to their 6 sessions? Do they just get discharged?
They just get discharged unless there's an extreme case. What you have to do is first of all, you only get 3 sessions back when I was doing it, allocated 3 sessions. And then you have to ask your manager if you can extend their treatment. And there has to be a valid reason. Normally back then you'd have to put them in a class. So if it was a back situation, they'd be assigned a class. Well, not everybody can do a class. No. And also I feel, for me, I'm a very hands-on physio. So I like to feel what's going on. I use my intuition to see how the body's moving, see what needs working, etc. So for me, that didn't work.
But we can't all be there, and sometimes we can make impact elsewhere.
Absolutely.
It's what I'm getting from your story. You just got this instinct that, yes, this is great. It could give you the safety and the position where you can just stay and learn more there. But it sounds like you wanted to make an impact somewhere else, somehow else.
And I wanted to create my own journey. I wanted to create my own destiny. And I felt that I couldn't do that within those confines. So for me, the choice only was to actually go elsewhere and create what I wanted to create. So I had this, as I said, this dream of the physio at Wimbledon. That was always at the back of my mind.
Why are you obsessed with physio at Wimbledon?
I've no idea, but that was my driving force.
Really?
And incredible, because it's such an accolade to work there.
It is.
It really is.
You have
amazing.
to take me next time you're going.
Okay, I'll take you.
Because I play tennis. I love tennis and I follow tennis. So
Honestly, it's an absolute privilege to work there. And even when the times are, when you're at work and you think, this is such hard work, I have to kind of pinch myself and remind myself, like, look around. Look where you're working. Like, how many other people get that opportunity?
You're right.
So, I'm very, very lucky and extremely feel very honoured to be working there. So
at the time when you were transitioning then from the NHS to start your own practice, what practical tools or support, or either through mentorship or financial, what did you have to help you at the very beginning?
Very interesting question, and I would say not a lot. So I had already been running my own classes when I was doing Keep Fit. So I used to run 10 classes a week in church halls, school halls, etc. So I'd already had that. Okay, you do this on your own. This is, you've got to get your clients, etc. So I'd had that experience. I would say my business acumen probably was 0, but I had a passion. And the passion was what drove me, and also a very hardworking ethic. So I would always put the work in, the 110% commitment to whatever I did. There was actually a man at my hockey club who I was doing sports massage, and he knew that, and he knew that I wanted to do more. So before I even did my degree, he was the man that took me out and said, right, we're going to go and find you a porter cabin. And we went to Sittingbourne, and we went to a big site where they had porter cabins, and mine happened to be 2nd floor up. So we had to go up one porter cabin, up the second, and we eventually got to my porter cabin. Tiny little cabin. I can't remember even how much it cost me, but I was like, this will do me. So we had it transported and we put it at the hockey club, which is where my site is still now. So way back in the day, I was a little porter cabin on the site in the car park, and I think it cost me £2,000. I had 2 little treatment rooms and a reception. There weren't any outdoor windows in the reception area, and there was no heating. We had no water. We had electric. Yeah. We had candles.
Talk about humble beginnings.
Yes, I started in that little porter cabin. And eventually I employed somebody else to come and work with me. I had a reception, full-time reception, but we were still in a porter cabin in a very damp, cold porter cabin. So we'd get in there some mornings and you could see your breath. Yeah. There was frost on the inside of the window. So we defrosted ourselves. Anyway, I had that for quite a while, and I always wanted to create a better environment. And people who I was starting to work with, which are obviously higher up the athletic scale, would go, "Where are you based?" And I go, "Oh, in Kent."
In a porter cabin in Kent.
And I never wanted to admit that I worked in a little porter cabin because I wasn't proud of it.
Yeah.
I was really proud of me and really proud of what we offered, but not proud of my facilities, which is a bit sad because I'd ask people and they'd go, "It's okay, like we don't mind." But it was me, my kind of
your expectations, isn't it? You just wanted more for yourself and for your clients. And I think that sort of feeling and attitude is what actually takes most entrepreneurs next step, isn't it? You can't just be satisfied with what you've got. No. It's really important to have that little extra bit of we could do more, we could do better.
Do next?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Always striving.
Yeah,
striving for change.
Yeah, so
really,
I think that sounds like a good thing to have.
I think so. From then, I've now felt really proud of where we are and what we're at. It's an amazing little community of wonderful therapists. And there's such a family warm feel about it. So for me, where I am now is amazing. And in between my own kind of personal, professional development was I managed to going back to the Wimbledon physio, which obviously we keep referring back to. So there was an opportunity came about where I was asked to cover physiotherapist in Eastbourne in a tennis competition.
Yes, I know Eastbourne. They do it just before. That's the lead up to Wimbledon, isn't it?
Yeah. So my friend who was the physio at Wimbledon, she couldn't make it. So she asked me to cover her. And so I went down and I covered, and I was really nervous, fairly newly qualified. And I covered her and I loved it. And there was another lady there who was at Wimbledon, but she worked in the members area. So she had her own business within the members. So not actually at the championships. She was working for the normal Wimbledon club. And she asked me if I'd be prepared to do some cover for her. So I then worked in the weekends and I travelled up to Wimbledon. It took me 2.5 hours on the train. And I did my work there. And shortly after I was there, I was treating a man had come in for a back problem, I think it was, and I did my wide mouth frog thing. So, what do you do here? And he said, "Oh, I'm the club secretary." And I was like, "You're quite important." So I carried on treating him. The next person I saw was a lady, and I did the same thing. So, what do you do here? She said, "I'm the championship director." And I was like, "Wow, you are important." So I left it a few minutes, let it sit with her. We carried on chatting, and then I went, "So how do I get a job at your championships then?" She went, "Okay, so you need to speak to this man." She said, "Send your CV. I'll be your referee. The guy you've just treated will be your referee. And the lady who you're going to replace, who is retiring, she'll be your referee." So I had 3 people, influential people. So I applied for the job and I went up to have my interview. And the interview was, "We don't really need to interview because you come quite highly recommended, don't you?" And that was it. That was my interview at Wimbledon.
Do you see what just happened there, right? So there's a few things that happened there. So first of all, you were asked to just cover, it's low key stuff. And you went and you literally spent 2.5 hours getting there. It was not convenient. It was not, and you didn't even know what was going to come out of it. So you took the chance and you got yourself there. at great cost, I'm sure, expense,
Didn't earn very
time,
much at all.
and
Yep.
then the next bit was your curiosity, right? So you are interacting with your clients and your patients and the environment you found and asking questions. Who are you? What do you do? How does this work? And all of that. So there was that professional curiosity. And I think it's really important to think about that, because as women, a lot of the times we're kind of the fly on the wall. We just don't, some people might consider it a bit too brash in quotes, or too forward to ask questions, or to want to get to know who is around you and how they can help you.
And will my voice be listened to?
Yes. Would you be listened to?
Am I important enough?
Yes. Do I know enough to want this job even?
Yeah.
So I think those are two. See, I'm learning as I'm going
well done.
along. Yeah.
Good girl.
Because it's not magic that people get opportunities, isn't it? It's whether your eyes were open when those moments arrived.
Yes.
What do you think?
And also seizing the opportunity. So on my WhatsApp message, it's seize the opportunity or grab the opportunity. You never know where it's going to take you. And sometimes those opportunities go somewhere and then there's a door that shuts in your face or it's a dead end. Yeah. But it's something.
Do you know that bit in Sound of Music when Maria started?
Are we singing?
Right. I don't think you all want to hear that. No, but the first line to that song was she actually said it. She was like, when the world closes a door, somewhere there's a window. Something like that. That's how she starts the song. Or something like that. Something about closing.
We'll look it up later.
And then she goes like, what will this day be like? I wonder.
She's going.
I know. So do you know what? I think it's about understanding that there might not be open doors all the time, but there are little windows, which is probably why they call it windows of opportunity, because the doors aren't always open. Yeah.
And that door may only be open a small chink.
Yes.
But open it anyway. Open it wide and see what's behind it. Yeah. Because you never know. It's that Alice in Wonderland or, where she goes through the wardrobe. Like, how scared was she? Yeah, Narnia, that's it. Yes. How scared was she with opening that door in the first place? Yeah. Didn't know, but what a world she opened into. Yeah.
See, that's my definition of courage, right? Courage is not the absence of fear. It's having that fear and acting despite your fears, isn't it? And I think fear is healthy. We're all supposed to be mindful and, cautious about things. But the big difference there, isn't it, is when we act regardless of those fears.
There's that book, isn't there? Yeah. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Well, there you go. So what do you think about us and this podcast telling those stories about the journeys that...
I think it's amazing. I mean, what we've heard so far from different people, they've all had their own personal struggles, failures, illnesses, whatever it is, they've had that along the way. But what they've done is they haven't quit. Yeah. They've kept going. Yeah. And against the odds, you just have to find that fight within you because it will create a stronger version of you. It will be slightly different and it may not be the end version, but we're always evolving, aren't we? Yeah. We're always creating another facet to us. And how exciting is that you suddenly find, actually, I could do something else now. Like you doing this podcast.
This is absolutely crazy, I know.
Isn't it? And how, I just need to ask you a question. Is that all right?
Yes, of course.
So, can I do your journey?
Who cares, Lou?
Nobody care. We absolutely
nobody
do
cares
care.
About go on. You can ask me.
Is that okay?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Good.
Go on, ask me.
So, you obviously are a very successful doctor, consultant, paediatric specialist.
Yes.
You've now created a wonderful app.
Yes.
And now you're podcasting.
Yes.
Okay. So, rewind. How did you start? When did you start? What was your journey?
Oh, okay. So basically, I grew up in Nigeria. My dad is a doctor and my mom is an accountant. They're both retired now. Actually, my dad is still going strong. He's a pediatric neurologist actually as well.
God,
yes,
wow,
I know.
that's amazing.
An absolute inspiration to me. But growing up, I think I had they never stopped me. They never, I was the one who showed up and said, oh, I've just booked myself into an exam, which was a year ahead of my set. So it's a bit like taking your GCSE early, the year before.
Wow.
And my dad was like, okay. I did get in a year ahead. Yes.
Wow.
So
why did you want to go early?
No, honestly, Lou. The reason I'm saying this is because this mic thing, it didn't start today. For some reason, I've always been like that, just pushing a step ahead.
Okay.
And nobody ever stopped me. It was like just handled as if it was quite normal. So that's my normal me. But I had worked in the NHS for a long time. Like I always say, hats off, the best training in life I could have ever hoped for was my years training and here in the UK and growing up, in my career. But I think I'm an entrepreneur, quite like you by heart. And I just wanted another chapter. I couldn't think that, okay, this is it from start to retirement. I'm just doing this job and all of that. And I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to create impact, and I could think in my head about so many different ways I could do that, but you couldn't do that within working full time in any setting at all. So yes, basically I want a chapter, and I flipped the chapter and I started Health Mary, and it looks like I'm flipping. Literally
You're
flipping
moving on again. Wow.
Flipping.
Another challenge, another
yes, I know.
chapter to create.
We have only one take in this life, one shot. There's no rewinding.
No.
And there's actually no fast forwarding.
No.
You literally have to, and it's one go in this life.
Absolutely. So from here, there'll be other things that you will want to challenge
There
yourself
will be
with.
other things. In my mind, if I've checked it here in my head and here in my heart, and it's okay, I'm not holding myself back anymore.
No.
That's what I'm doing. God help my husband, who is like, what we doing now?
You're on full throttle.
It's like, what are we doing now? But and again, I'm lucky, right? Like what you just said about opportunities. The moment I decided I was going to do Health Mary and be the founder and CEO of that company, it felt like everybody I met came to me for that
It's
reason.
not luck.
It's just
the universe. You're manifesting that.
Yeah.
We've touched on it, haven't we?
We have touched on that, isn't it?
I do believe that whether it's your positivity that you're exuding, and you're looking for those people without subconsciously you're looking for them.
Yeah.
But I think you are attracting it because like attracts like. We're attracted to people, friends. If you look at your circle of friends, there'll be a different, obviously, kind of eclectic bunch of friends, but probably their core is all the same.
The same, exactly.
Yes.
I'm just finding that every week people are just showing up in my life now. And I love the fact that I have a different life now. It's no one day is the same. I'm super excited about every day almost. Almost every day. And so it's a journey I decided to take on. But to be fair, I didn't just roll out of bed one day and do this.
No.
It was like you, it was a build up, and in a way almost instinctually allowing myself to explore. Even when I was in the NHS, I arrived at the hospital I worked in as a consultant, fresh out of my training years, right into a big role, and there I was like, okay, I'm going to develop the epilepsy service. It didn't exist, and that was my that's what kept me in the system, because I had that to build and develop.
And how long did that take you?
Oh, I was still working on it till when I left. But I got to the point where I felt like I got there and it was just me, the epilepsy person, and there was no specialist nurse, no nothing. And that was just me, literally. And yeah, 6 years down the line, there were, 3 consultants, a bigger service network, all linked into the tertiary hospitals around, developed a network within the hospitals in Kent as well.
Wow, amazing.
And I moved on when I was happy, because that was my baby. That was
your goal.
That was I wanted to build it and grow it. And as soon as I was happy that, yes, we got somewhere that I could let go.
I bet they were devastated when you decided to leave.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I no, they weren't. They were like, good riddance.
I can't believe that for 1 second. Absolutely, I'm sure.
I think they were surprised. Some of them were, because I think that it was, they know how much I loved the epilepsy service. They know how much I loved my patients and their parents, and they know. So a lot of them were surprised that I wanted to leave. But I didn't think I was leaving my mission. I felt I built something enough to provide a service within what I could do. And I know that moving on, I was going to make a greater impact. And that's why I did it, basically. And obviously, I didn't leave until I was happy that, things got to a certain level. And I honestly don't want to sound as if, I did all of it. But I know I was in the center of it and really pushing and driving it. But I had a fantastic department and colleagues, and the management really responded to my ambitions for that service. And that's the only reason why I got that far with it, because for some reason I was lucky again.
But were you instrumental in getting those people around you? So were you the one that said, yep, I'd love you here? Did you create that team?
Yes.
So there you go. That's why you were lucky. You found the right people for the right jobs. And I think we all have certain strengths and weaknesses, and it's admitting your weaknesses and finding somebody that can do that and create a strength within the team. Because all those different personalities are all different in their own right, but they all have their own strengths, don't they? So it's finding that within you.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Even for the interview for the specialist nursing role, the very first time, as far as I could tell, it was done differently. I wanted it differently, and and the way we did that was we, put out the adverts and everything, and for our applicants, I wasn't going to do the interview, but the whole department was going to do the interview. So I got a panel together of myself, some consultant colleagues, some nurses, some registrars in training. So the panel for this was not just 2 people in the room saying, oh, you've got the job. It was a proper 360 of the whole department, because I felt that role needed to be brought in by the team, not just by who I wanted to work with me. Yes, exactly. So that was a weird and different take at the time, and it's since But the point is that the person that then came into the role, right? She was my bread and butter, right? And it worked perfectly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And funnily enough,
and since then, actually,
And, talking about a panel of people, I had an interview for the jockeys.
Yes.
I now work with the jockeys.
Because you work with the jockeys as well.
I work with the jockeys as well.
Okay. So I told you guys, she's my absolute claim to fame, honestly.
So, and I was quite naive when I went for this job interview. So I'd had the interview with Wimbledon, which obviously was, okay, you've got the job. It wasn't that tricky. I'd love to say that I did something really complicated and impressive physio-wise, but I really didn't. I was very fortunate. So I then applied for this job with the jockeys, and I rocked up, which is very like me. I'm very lastminute.com. What you see is what you get. You're not going to get anything false out of me. So
authenticity.
Hopefully authentic. So I rocked up half hour early. I'd done a little bit of prep. Hopefully none of them are listening to this. A little bit of prep about the interview. And and I got there. Unfortunately, I'd worn a dress because I thought it was just going to be a one-on-one chat, like the Wimbledon one. Anyway, when I turned up, the lady kind of, instructed me and took me upstairs. She went, congratulations to getting here. And I was like, oh, okay, why is that? Were there many interviewees or people applying for the job? And she went, there were 200 and something. Oh. And, you're one of the people that's come for an interview. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was quite a few then. Yes. So I was like, okay, well, done okay here then. And then I'm sat and she went, just help yourself to coffee. The interview's going to be next door. So I now was a little bit out of my comfort zone. Like, okay, this is a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. So I went round the corner into the corridor and listened to the door of where the other interview was going. And I was like, and all of a sudden I heard a lot of scientific responses from the person being interviewed, technical questions. Yes. And I was like, okay, this is probably going to be a little bit more than I thought. So anyway, I settled down and I'm like, it's fine. So anyway, I went into the interview and they had the same. They had a panel of people, 2 doctors, 1 physio, admin, consultant, etc., all round the table. And I was a bit, and I don't think I've ever had an interview like this before. So I just sat there feeling, okay, just be you. Don't have to be anything else. If you don't get the job, it's fine. Anyway, so I did the questions and I answered all the technical questions and they were all fine. And one of the questions, and I'm a bit jokey, as I've said before. So one of the questions was, how do you feel, about how much you're going to earn? I went, to be fair, if you just paid me £1, I wouldn't care, because actually this is all about the experience for me and just loving the environment. So anyway, they all laughed and I was like, oh, okay. I think I've done all right here. Anyway, I walked out, I had absolutely no idea on how I'd done. And then I had a friend who was actually on the panel and she messaged me later and she said, oh my God, what an amazing interview you'd had. And I was like, was it? I have no idea, because it was just me, and I got the job out of those 200 and something people, because you either fit or you don't. And you're not everybody's cup of tea. They may have wanted someone really serious, but actually you're dealing with the jockeys. The jockeys are all jokers. They're mainly Irish. Relaxed. Can't understand a word they say, especially when their head is down in the couch and you're like peering underneath going, sorry, what did you say there? So for me, I fitted in because I fitted in that environment. And like you said, your nurse fitted in your environment.
She did. And again, you're absolutely right. I think it was just putting out to the universe there, this is what I need. This is what I want to do with this service. And a lot of people would ask me, why are you so passionate about epilepsy in children? And to be honest, for a long time, I was like, I just need, because I would go like, this is not right. If you were this mom, would you sleep at night knowing your child just had a seizure?
Yes.
So that was often the emotion that ran with me. It was never about, how many less attendances to any, or it wasn't the typical outcomes that I was after. I was always after if you were a person, a mom, would you sleep another day if your child had a seizure? How quickly would you want to see me if you had? So those were always my, I always had an emotional compass to what I wanted to achieve, if that makes sense, which made it really difficult emotionally, because I would carry quite a lot. And I remember one day asking myself, why the hell are you so invested in it? People will ask me, but then one day I really said, why are you so invested in this? But then I don't know why I was driving that day, and I suddenly remembered a very like a story that because my mom lost a child as well. So she was in fact pregnant for me as I was in the tummy, right? When this happened. Wow. And I don't even know, Mom, am I supposed to tell everybody this?
It's out there now.
And she, yes, and he'd had a seizure and passed away.
Wow.
And she told me this story a while ago, because you know about it at some point. But that day I was driving to work and I was like, this is why. This is why I cannot
You can't rest until you've done as much as you can.
What, right? Yeah. So for me, and anybody who works with me will go like, I'm my mama bears, those moms, I cannot, do you see what I mean? So I had this
inner strength of passion to make sure that didn't happen again.
Passionate about it. I am so passionate about it because it just doesn't. And so my work since then, from the epilepsy service, doing that, and that's where I learned that if I can empower this mom, give her everything I've got, information, support as much as possible within, obviously, everybody knows we're quite limited in terms of resources within the NHS. If I could do that, then that's my joy. I'm happy, and that's what I want. And anything else that got in the way of that would push me to kind of go further. So yes, moving on from that,
an amazing journey.
I realized that that was my thing, to get us stronger, empowered, and
so you protect other people from going through the pain that your mum and your family experienced, and there can be nothing worse.
I know,
and that's and I have no comprehension of how
it feels
awful that must be. But I can understand how it would drive you as a caring mum yourself to try to prevent that happening to anyone else. And if you can make that difference, what an awesome journey that's been.
The weird thing is that I didn't even know that was it. And then maybe they'd say it and other things as well, but I didn't even realize it. And I do wonder when I see people, when I'm talking to people on this podcast about the experience that might have been subliminal, that is driving passion. So everybody will always tell me, you're so passionate about epilepsy, and I didn't know why until for a long time.
Yes, until it struck you.
And it was really weird because I remember exactly where I was when I was like, oh my God, because it felt like I've had an experience. Although it wasn't my experience, to be fair, I was probably quite close to it because I was a fetus in the tummy.
And
I was probably closer to it than I thought. Maybe it's I don't know, where's Sandra? She might say the spiritual thing.
Exactly.
So I was probably close to it. But yes, I didn't know. And I'm a pediatrician, obviously. So 95% of my time is spent talking to women, other moms, basically, trying to manage their real concerns about their child's well-being, right? So it's really hard for me to have a platonic consultation thereof. Yeah. So yeah, Health Mary, and even this podcast is my way.
It's another way of helping. And I was just thinking as we were talking about the journey, and actually the failures are and the pain is also a driving force, isn't it? And you felt that pain. And there will be occasions where women that maybe listen to this that are feeling the pain or will experience the pain, even on their journey to wherever they want to go, they'll feel that pain, and that will become another driving force for them to take a different route, to find a different journey, to discover more about themselves.
Never sit still. And I don't mean it in a sort of chaotic way. I mean it in a way that always ask questions. Don't settle for because it's that, like I said, it's that agitation that I want more, this could be better, is what really drives you next level. Be it for your health. If you are a certain way, you've got symptoms and blah, blah, blah. You don't say, okay, this is me. Oh, I've got back pain and that's it, right? You have to question that problem and question it, because the more you question it, the more the solutions come. And actually, the more you're able to manifest the solutions to those problems, the right people will come along if you keep questioning. But if you accept it and say, okay, I'm going to have this pain for the rest of my life and that's it, then probably that's it.
Exactly,
you are going to be in that pain for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Today's episode of Beyond 9 to 5 is brought to you by Health Mary. Ladies, let me introduce you to Health Mary app, the ultimate girl power health platform built for women by women. Connect with trusted female health practitioners who understand your unique needs. From fitness and menopause coaching to skin and nutrition, expert consultations are just a tap away. Health Mary interviews and screens every single one of their practitioners, so you can know that they are the best in the business of looking after you. The app isn't just a directory for finding the best female specialists. The Reels feature gives you instant access to a wealth of qualified content posted on the app by the top-notch professionals on there. This is not social media type of content. This is like a digital health magazine in your hands and on the go. And the best part is that it's free to download and join. So what are you waiting for, girl? Download the app and unleash the girl power inside to enhance your health and well-being. I want to circle back to Holcombe, actually. And the reason I wanted to say it now is because I know you are adding something else to your clinic. There's two things. You are there's the spiritual element that you want to bring in, and there's the neurodiversity one, right? Are you working on the neurodiversity? Because that's slightly my cup of tea, which I'm excited about.
I know it is.
I know.
So I have delved into it. It's a massive, great project.
Yes.
And at the moment, I've spoken to lots of different people, and I think it's probably something that we could be a hub for attracting, but we will literally triage.
Yeah.
So we will say, okay, we can send you to the right people. So we will be a little kind of signposting rather than maybe do it ourselves.
So important. So important because we have challenges with, diagnosing children with, neurodiversity, but even more so with adults, isn't it? My understanding is that it's quite difficult because a lot of adults don't even know that they could be autistic or, sort of neurodiverse. And it's a real challenge finding help.
That's right. Where do you go? Who listens to you? Because I know the NHS is amazing, as we've talked about, but its lists for getting that kind of diagnosis is
months
huge.
And months, the long waiting list.
And if people are unhappy and they want to know an answer, then now I think they will have to be responsible and pay for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we have that ability within our clinic, or whether it's something but what we can do is direct them to the right people.
Yeah.
So if we've got somebody that has those concerns, we'll have a list of qualified people that we can go, we can direct you to who we think will help.
Yeah.
Another area that I think I'm really interested in, and we're actually launching in January, is men's mental health.
Yeah.
So, and I think there will be a link there with people that maybe are confused. I mean, it will be females' mental health at the moment, but I have a bit of a burning desire to do the men's mental health.
I think that would be good
because I think they're the people currently that don't talk as much as women.
Yeah.
They don't have the friendship groups like women can do, where they can discuss it. They can go and have a facial to make themselves feel better. Men are very averse to doing that kind of thing for themselves. Yeah. And what I'd like to do is open up that door so that they will experience those things where you can offload. So we'll have counsellors, we'll have wellbeing coaches, therapists that will be able to, again, give them a little bit of TLC and give them the space to be themselves.
Exactly. In
a safe environment.
That is wonderful because for every woman, literally, mathematically, there is a man, basically. And the world is made of two genders. And a lot of the times when we focus on female empowerment and female health, we mustn't forget that every woman has a man in her life that deserves just as much empowerment and as much, help with running daily lives. And I do think that it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. If you please let me know. Obviously,
I will, absolutely.
If you need there's any way I can help with that, that's absolutely wonderful.
Definitely, yeah. So I think, I'm really excited about that. So we're hoping that will be launched in January. And the other side is the spiritual side, which is maybe more of a personal journey for me. But I think it's definitely an area that we can offer as a service for all those that are inquisitive, already embracing, want to know more, want to experience more. So we already offer sound bath, we offer breathing relaxation. So it's all, again, self-care stuff. And I just want to offer maybe what I call woo-woo stuff, mediumship, tarot cards, anything that just embraces the energy work, that slightly different aspect, which I think we can all benefit from. Yeah. Open or not, you can experience. We all have energy. Everything has an energy, and it's about how we embrace that and use that. So that's another area that I'm going down. So it's exciting. Next year's going to be really exciting.
It is so exciting, and I'm going to have you back another time, honestly, because I feel like there's quite a lot that we could unpack here. And I certainly, I'm sure our viewers and listeners would want to know, how far you're going to take for Holcombe. You have online services as well, don't you? People can access it online.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
It's just got huge potential, and it's good to know that you can reach people even further afield from outside Kent.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I think it's been an absolute pleasure, honestly. Right? You are a total enabler. You know that, don't you? Because I came to you and said, I'm going to do a hot podcast and could you co-host with me? And you said, oh yeah, as if that was normal. But to be honest, that's been my experience all my life, to be honest. People have just shown up and supported me with things, and I can't thank you enough, Lou.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved every second.
Thank you.
Just kind of sitting here chatting, really, aren't we?
We've met so many people. We've learned so much along the way, and we have felt empowered because we have been able to pass on something, useful and great to our listeners and viewers.
And just so interesting to hear everybody's personal experiences. Fantastic. I've loved it. Thank you. You're doing a great job.
Much.
So well done, you.
Thanks so much,
Long
Lou.
may it continue.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I feel so full, so full of joy and happiness. Although this is the last episode in season 8, in our first season. Season 2 is going to come out very soon. And I am so privileged and thankful to Lou for being a wonderful part of my journey, not just for this podcast, but I'm sure moving forward in the future. I want to thank all of the guests that have been to this season's episodes.
Interesting, yeah.
I'm going to go through them. Adele, Martin, Dowling, Dan, Fernando, Sandra Jennings, Dr. Abimbola, Dr. Eve Skin, Stacey Foster, and Francoise de Smet. Thank you so much, guys. All of their link and details will be in the description below. Please continue to watch, continue to subscribe, share, like, whatever it is you need to do. Please do it, because doing that means that we can bring more of these episodes, more of these inspiring stories to women across the UK and the world. So please continue to watch. Until next season, you know how this goes, right? Keep your purpose front and center and your passion burning brightly. Thank you.